Hey guys, and welcome to another video. It is February, and you know what that means. It's actually Funguary, baby. Funguary is a themed prompt list for the month of February hosted by Feeful. Feeful is one of my all-time inspirations, and this is their last time hosting Funguary, so I had to do all four prompts. Oh, that's another cool thing about Funguary. There is one prompt per week, so only 4 pieces for the month. This feels so much more doable than a prompt every day, and being able to say I finished all of Funguary feels really, really good. This video will be focused on the process of the final prompt, but I did want to show off my other 3 pieces really quick and talk a little bit more about them. So the first week was decay. I immediately knew exactly what concept I was going for. I don't have a picture of it, but years ago I attempted to paint a piece in acrylics with this concept. I wanted to portray a person with mushrooms growing out of their back, as to if imply them being dead inside. I never was able to get this concept to work years ago, so I needed redemption. And boy, oh boy, did I get it. I am very proud of this piece, and I do think I'm going to be making it into a print. Also, yes, censoring the butt. I don't trust YouTube to like it, and I'd rather not get this video taken down. I finished this piece in about the same time of most of my pieces take, so a little over 3 hours. And like I said, very, very happy with it. It was a great start to Funguary. The second week was fairy tale, and I immediately knew yet again what I needed to draw. A flower fairy, mostly inspired by my childhood. There was this book when I was a kid titled Fairyopolis, a flower fairy journal, and I loved faux scientific journals like this when I was a kid. I would often get this one from my local library and just dive into it in the world it created, honestly partially believing fairies were actually real back then. This piece took me forever to finish, around double the time I usually spend on a piece. I think this is partially due to the false start I had on the figure. I was trying so hard to not use reference, as I feel like I've been relying on reference just a little bit too much lately, but I didn't like how it was turning out. So back to reference we go, I guess. If anybody has tips on pulling away from reference and still feeling confident in your pose work, let me know, please. The third week was Immortal, and my immediate thought was My Immortal by Evanescence. I went and listened to the song on repeat, and the more I did, the more I was convinced I could do something with the lyrics. So I decided to make a comic using the pre-chorus and chorus lyrics. The storyline I came up with was this woman's girlfriend passed away in the forest, and for some reason the body was left there to be reincorporated into nature. The woman comes back every now and then to visit her, reminiscing on the past happy memories and admitting that she will never, ever be the same. I had to draw mushrooms to fit the theme, but I promise you this, I almost forgot. I got really wrapped up in the storytelling and forgot what I was doing this for. This piece took me almost 4 hours, so a little bit more than normal. I could have spent longer on it, especially in the rendering phase, but if I'm being honest, I got kind of tired of working on it. Having said that, one of the coolest things happened once I posted this piece to Instagram. Feeful herself commented on it. When I tell you, oh my god, I'm literally so inspired by their work, and I mean it. I screamed when I saw it. I literally wrote about how their work inspired my practice in my literal college thesis, so this was a huge moment for me. Okay, we're finally on to the meat of the video. Week 4 was cosmic, and if you know me, you know what I had to do. I have 2 original characters named Selene and Aurora. Selene is the goddess of the moon, and Aurora is the goddess of the sun. They're super gay and in love. I could get more into it, but I really wanted to incorporate them into this piece somehow. I'll get more into the storyline of how I did that story wise later. But as far as the mushroom I decided to go with for this piece, I was stuck between Mycena subcianosil this. um so that mushroom or pixie parasols, but the blue fun little one, I'm not going to try and say it again, would fit Aurora and Celine's color palette better. This is the photographer who took this particular reference photo, by the way. His name is Eric Cho, and you should check out his Instagram. He takes a lot of really cool pics of fungi, and I'm definitely going to use more pics as inspiration in the future. These mushrooms are literally so tiny. Like, look at them compared to his finger. So I thought it might be fun to play around with their size in my piece. I decided to make mine huge in comparison to Celine and Aurora. The storyline I came up with, although not super meaty, is that they are visiting another solar system and discover a planet with these giant mushrooms. This is not going to be canon in their story. I just thought it was a fun AU to play around with. Like these alien-esque planets with giant mushrooms. Really fucking cool. Although this isn't canon, it does bring up an interesting aspect of their story. A friend once asked me about other solar systems. Do they have their own pantheons of gods and goddesses? And they do. They aren't always friendly with our solar system's pantheon, though. They sometimes even visit Earth, but not in disguise. This is where alien sightings come from in my story. They're simply other gods and goddesses from other solar systems trying to stir shit up. And this is why this simply can't be canon for Selena and Aurora. Visiting another solar system's giant mushroom planet may stir shit up, and that's just not something they want to get into. They already have the leader of their own pantheon, Time, breathing down their necks. Now, on to some of the more technical stuff. I wanted to render the mushroom in a lineless style, and I originally thought I was going to do the same with Selena and Aurora, but I'm glad I ended up doing line work for them in the end. It made them stand out a bit more. When I started rendering the little hairs on the mushroom, which, by the way, I don't know what they're called, I looked it up and couldn't find their name. But when I started rendering them, I realized that this method might take a while. And it did. I probably spent about 45 minutes on these little hairs alone. I ended up stopping the recording and just using the Procreate internal recording for part of this because I was like, I don't know how long this is going to take. Might as well just stop and just lock in. I also made the dirt specks glow in my interpretation of this mushroom, and yeah, I thought that would add a celestial glow to them. Now, for Selena and Aurora, I wanted Aurora to be discovering a sweet moment Selena's caught in. Selena's examining one of the little glowy specks, caught up in a moment of curiosity. That's something that Aurora loves about Selene. She's always willing to learn something new. And ever since she joined the Pantheon as the goddess of the moon, Aurora has admired her for the pure joy she expresses when learning. I know it seems scary, but I decided to draw the faces after filling in the color This just makes it easier to drop in the color without worrying about all the nooks and crannies. In the end, I think these poses could have turned out a bit more dynamic. I was trying really hard, yet again, to not use reference photos for the exact poses. I more just used reference photos to inform the poses I ended up going with, but I think it could have turned out better if I had a better mental library of poses. That's why I'm trying to build. That's why I'm trying to not use exact reference photos and like a crutch. I'm trying to use them to inform my work instead of just, I don't know. Ugh, my God. I'm yet again using the color mark brushes for rendering this piece. I love the texture these brushes give, especially when used with a light hand. I really tried to nail the lighting of being surrounded by a glowy mushroom, and I'm not really sure if I got it exactly right, but I think I got pretty damn close. I often forget to close the reference window when I'm done with it, so you're just gonna have to deal with my emotional support Celine for the rest of the video. Sorry, not sorry. She's lovely. Deal with it. Near the end of this piece, I realized I hadn't planned anything for the background of it. I realized it was missing some cosmic flair. I used to paint nebulas a lot back in high school, so I thought I'd dip my toes back in and try my hand at painting one digitally instead of in acrylic for the sky of this piece. I had a lot of fun doing this actually, and I really like how this part of the piece turned out. This piece took me just over 3 hours, which is crazy because I thought I worked on it for almost double that. Maybe it was just because I was focused on recording that it felt longer. But, anyways, here is the finished piece. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, and I'm very, very proud that I finished Funguary this year. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I post a new video once a month ish. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitch if you want to see more of my art. Have a great rest of your day, lovelies. Bye bye.